and I just do my own thing, and I talk to God all day lately. Because we do have a big solar flare coming in 10 years and the whole planet will be gone by then. So we might as well just like get to know God now. Crazy. Can we talk about the squid under the Pacific Ocean as well?
We'll get to that.
I'm joking.
We'll get to that. Hi everyone, so I'm back with another interesting episode today. I've been talking about it for quite a bit, and voila, it's now happening. I have a guest joining me today. Hi Kerry, welcome to Unmuzzled.
Hello.
Hi. Now, you may have heard of her, videos taken of her, been making the rounds on the socials recently. So for some of you, there might already be some preconceived ideas about who she is. My advice to you is to keep them to yourselves, for now at least, and give this podcast a listen. Now, Kerry is a friend of mine, okay? So this is just my introduction to all of you, who she is. She's a friend of mine who I've just recently met. This is, in fact, only my third time meeting her. But even in this short time, I can say she's worth more than many friends I've known for ages, for a lifetime even. The thing about Kerry that stands out to me the most is her courage and willingness to stand for what she believes in, which has been in short supply these last couple of years. I've also, in that short time, learned so much about her generosity firsthand. She's always feeding people, myself included, and I always leave her place and parties well fed. And her generosity doesn't end there. It extends to helping others in need, those less fortunate than her. The Kerry I know also has good vibes all around, just giving out good energy, high energies. Just a friend who tells you that there's so much more to life than to get carried away by all the negativity and bad energy that is all too common in these times. No thanks to 20-second video posts that go viral because some people decide to go with a story and run with it and do so with willful malice. So that's the Kerry I know, and I hope you will all get to know him the same way by the end of this podcast too. Now, I'm going to hand it over to Kerry to introduce herself to all of you listeners out there. Kerry, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, first of all, rumah terbuka, because you're talking about the food. I give people food because it's a cool Malaysian thing to do, and I love it. Thank you for arranging this conversation. I don't really know what to say about myself. I mean, I've been here for over 20 years now, and my children are Malaysian. So I do feel, I have a red IC. Whether that means I can be deported or not, I'm not sure. Don't really care. And I love the country. And yeah, I don't know. I just believe in freedom, and I believe in free will, and I believe in choice.
Right. What do you think given the recent things that have happened to you and also the kind of reaction that you got as a result of it, what do you think, how would you best sum up the kind of condition that we've all, put ourselves or found ourselves in today, right now? What was the build up to that? What do you think, where did we start getting to this direction? And obviously I'm not just talking about like the reaction to the videos or anything like that went viral, but just everything that's been going on. How would you best sum it up?
Well, it's all completely insane, isn't it now?
Mm-hmm.
There's like all reason is gone. I don't know. I'm not sure. I don't really want to talk about other people. So right. I can only talk about myself, and any freedom that I am demanding is for myself. And for other people, the only thing that I would say is it's each individual person's choice to stand for their freedom or not. But one thing that we can't do in this madness, in this situation that we find ourselves in right now, I think we really need to come back to basics, because it is crazy. Nobody knows the truth. No one knows how many cases, how many deaths. They don't know what they're dying from. There's so many variables and there's so much shade.
Yeah.
it's obvious that something's not right. So what do when you're kind of surrounded by all this crazy? Is you retreat within, and you ask yourself basic questions. And there are some basic fundamental principles that human beings have been born with, these rights, to go through your life and to make decisions regarding your own health and your own life. So it's a choice if you want to take experimental medicine, or if you want to put something across your mouth and nose, that's your choice. If you think it's going to help you, great. But if you are somebody who suffers from anxiety if they can't breathe, or a lot of children are struggling, and I look at, it's not even about me. I don't even know if I'm answering your question or not, because I'm
That's
just
fine.
like rambling, but it's not even about me. It's about, I look at people struggling. We live in, it's the tropics. And so, people in cold countries, at least they get a break from we're talking about the mask here, obviously, right? But, yeah, I feel the pain, and I see the suffering, and everybody's too afraid to speak up because they believe that we have this terrifying group of people who control our lives, right? But they're kind of focused on the wrong group of people, I think.
That's true. I absolutely agree with you, especially, with going back to basics, just trying to figure out the most obvious things for yourselves first before we get on into, a more sort of societal level, which I think has been the backbone of all of this, right? Isn't it? Like, people keep using that argument over and over again, that it's not just, you're not doing it, you're not supposed to be doing it for yourself, that you're supposed to be doing it for others. But like you say, go back to basics. Would you agree if I said that by going back to basics, you have to start with yourself first, that you have to start within?
Yeah, I mean, where else are we going to start? You can't, at most, it seems to me like a lot of people are living their lives through other people. And, one of the fundamental issues that I came to understand a few years ago in relationships, and with, all relationships, is quite often people are trying to convince other people to behave in certain ways that will validate their own personal belief system or their own matrix construct. So, for example, if you take like men who are quite overbearing and maybe are quite patriarchal and stuff, right? They might have a way of behaving which, isn't really necessarily good.
So, on to something, you raised a point about how you expect others to behave in a certain way, because that's I think that's probably what a lot of people expect, because as society, we've all been conditioned to do that. Like, oh, if I am doing A because I'm told to, because that's what the powers that be, whoever they are telling me this is not just for your own good, but for everyone's good, then everyone else who isn't doing it is obviously seen as the bad guy, as the bad person, or the disruptor.
Yeah, but this is hive mentality. So this is absolutely mind control. So the mind control, which is through the television and the media, and I know this is probably a bit kind of out there, but this is actually the minimal topic we should be talking about right now. Everybody needs to be aware that there is massive amounts of mind control with a dollop of black magic thrown in. And this is why everybody's struggling. Also, if you spend 2 years and you're not breathing oxygen properly, because believe it or not, brain cells need oxygen. And if you are doing it, it's called slow suffocation. There's so many things you can go and look at on the internet that will tell you what happens to you if you are not breathing oxygen, pure oxygen, for prolonged periods of time, especially over 2 years. You're going to have personality disorders, confusion, irritability, and a gradual sense of dissociation from reality, because your brain is cutting out a lot of its processes, which are quite often the prefrontal cortex, the more recent parts of the brain that have come along, like your I don't know why all the words of all the parts of the brain have gone out of my head. The limbic cortex and the prefrontal cortex. The brain will literally go, when it's being starved of oxygen, into reptilian mode, which is the basic survival mode. And I think that's what most people are in right now, especially if you're looking at people wearing masks in cars, whether they've forgotten to take them off or they genuinely, I don't know, I personally would never forget to take one off. because I find it really
it's there.
uncomfortable. I can't
It
breathe.
is.
I can't breathe when I've got them on.
But I've seen people walking around and without, there's no one within like 6 feet, 8 feet from them, and they're still, you know, masked up. And obviously, you know, the ones who are masked up in their cars alone, that's a whole other level of like, I don't know where they are. But it is, I mean, it is truly, it's kind of sad that I have to say it in this way, but it is truly amazing the kind of depths of I guess no, there's really no other better word to say than brainwashing that we've got to, that the people have been so conditioned to, you know, to follow in this pattern, to in a way that because they fall on the same argument, they all follow the argument of, oh, you're doing this not just for yourself, that you have to remember it's not for yourself, that you're doing it for everyone else. But it is absolutely a marvel.
But the brainwashing, you know, I think, you know, not to gloss over that or to use the term lightly, because we are absolutely now realizing the full extent to which television has been used by the CIA since the 40s, 50s, or whenever it first came out. It was invented, and every device connected to it, like phones, computers, or whatever you want to watch, any form of media on, was, and media, by the way, is the goddess Media, Medea. She's the goddess of lies and deceit. It's not a coincidence that it's called the media. We are in a spiritual war. I have been in a spiritual war. We're in the Third World War on the 3D level, but we're in a spiritual battle for the souls of men. That's what's going on. And because we've all been taken so far away from God through the use of devices and television, taken away from nature, which is where God really is, and we've been lied to about everything, especially the past 100 and something years. Something really strange happened. The mud floods in the early 1900s and the late 1800s. That's a whole, this, like, the thing is, it's not about the virus and it's not about a vaccine. It's about the fact that we've got major things coming out that have been hidden from us for a long time. Yeah. You've got the election in America, which was fraudulent and was the CCP, and it was a war, China against pretty much the rest of the world, and they were going to take everybody out. This is literally what's been happening. This is the truth. And the vaccine is the weapon. And I believe that's now been taken out, but it doesn't matter. And the virus was never real. So it's been a massive psychological operation. Of course, I will be called a crazy conspiracy theorist.
Oh, I've been there.
But guess what? You know what? I don't give a shit anymore, because I see what's happening. And the problem is, like, there's nowhere to escape. You know, why am I here? It's not because, well, I'm here because I've spent 20 years here, and I actually really like the Malaysian people, and I love the place, I love the country. And what am I going to do? Go and do the same thing in the UK? I don't know. There's a lot of people in the UK fighting and marching and going to all the rallies, so I'm not really needed there. Am I needed here? I don't know. Lots of people want me to go. It doesn't matter.
I definitely appreciate a lot more, like 1,000 Kerrys here.
Well, it's about people just, you know,
we're in short need.
Up.
We're short supply rather of people like you.
Because people are afraid. Maybe it's because I grew up in a very, I don't know, a bit of a crazy environment. There was no stability, so I'm used to chaos in a way. So I'm not so out of my comfort zone in dealing with some of the truths around this. I have nothing to hide. I just think that love is the answer, and that sounds really hippie and crazy, but it's actually a scientific thing. Heart energy, electromagnetic frequencies, and that's why they've kept everybody apart. And the 6 feet rule, 666.
That's the thing that I really appreciate the most about you, and that's what I've learned a lot from just, you know, hanging out with you and just knowing you for this short amount of time. And I'd like to go on to something rather related, actually, something you mentioned a little bit a while back on spirituality. So would you describe yourself, or how would you describe yourself as being spiritual? Are you spiritual in what sense? Because I think that could be different for some people. So how would you describe yourself as being a spiritual being?
I guess because I've seen many spirits, literally, as a kid. There's been a lot of activity around, like, the family. And also in Ireland, we used to go, like, my mum's Irish, and so we would go to Ireland quite often. And I met some interesting ones over there now, I'll tell you now. Jeez, like, they're literally creatures from the bog. The energy, it's all about the energy, though. Am I spiritual? I don't know. I believe in God, actually. I have come very much back to God in a massive way. And I don't mean back to God because I never really left. I just didn't really, I don't know, maybe I always was with, I've never really been a church person. I don't really believe in that kind of thing. I think your relationship with God is your relationship with God, and we're all individual aspects of God.
Right.
Manifested, right, in the reality. So my relationship's different from yours, and everybody's different. It can't be any other way. The problem with the hive mind, to go back to what you said before, and that everybody's being the same, this is the dangerous thing. It's not the people that are standing out saying, hey, hold on, this isn't quite making sense anymore. And a few people have been saying the same thing to me, but they don't want to speak out. Right. So the hive mind is the looking to see what other people do before you decide what you want to do, even if your situation is different. Your immune system could be different. To get to be validated for your own choices. But what's a world where everybody makes the same choice, and what's going to come next? Are they going to tell me I can't have chili paddy on my nasi lemak because, or my whatever, because I suppose kway teow, it would be better chili paddy with kway teow.
Chili jeruk.
Yeah, and like, are they going to say, no, you cannot tabale because it's too spicy, right? No, well, you don't know what my tolerance of chili is, and it's a choice. Again, it's like the whole thing about your medical, any choices that you make about your anything to do with your life is your choice, and absolutely has to be respected, because God created us.
That is right.
God is in control, and good and evil, whatever, the manifestation of this duality thing that we're in right now.
It is. And I find that the people who have the hardest time trying to reconcile with this are the people who don't quite understand or grasp the concept of inalienable rights very well. Like, again, it always go back to the, you're doing this for everyone else, it's not for yourself. But it's something like, it's God-given. And you obviously you just explained your relationship with, your spirit within, and how, you view that as being a fundamental relation, one that is personal, your relationship with, your spirituality and also with God. But the people, and I find that most of these people are actually very hypocritical, because they'll say one thing, perhaps for something else, whatever it is that they're fighting for and championing, or they'll say they're doing it, for the right reasons, that they're championing for people's rights. But then when it comes to this, the idea of autonomy over your self-sovereignty, and I guess we'll get into that a little bit more, is it just evades them. It's like they just, it's either they're willfully ignorant, that they just don't want to start talking about it, or that they just don't care. Which one is it? Is it or is it a combination of both?
I don't think it's any of those, because I generally, I know it's really right. Okay, look, they, meaning the people who are in control of whatever's happening right now in whatever way, they basically just want to divide and conquer. And so this whole vaccine thing is bullshit, because it's just causing a divide between vaccinated and unvaccinated, and it's making them kind of go against each other. So I think it's really important to avoid any words or language, because remember, everything that we're going through right now, think about the language of the vaccines, right? What do they call them? Take the shot. Right. Get the jab. Yeah. They're telling you to your face it's a war. It's a weapon. The shot, the jab, and they've been getting us used to that for quite some time, right? They've been getting people desensitized, because most people are afraid of having needles stuck in them. Yeah. And most people will not voluntarily go and have a needle stuck into them, especially of an experimental, dubious. I mean, there's all sorts of things going on with this, right? I don't want to get into any details, because it's all just a story. It's all distraction. So I would say that it's not about taking a vaccine or not taking a vaccine or whatever you want to call it. It's about respecting other people's decisions to do so. And I don't know, that's it. That's all I can come back to. And I'm not going to judge people because people are acting out of fear. It's not that they genuinely hate people, but they're being told and drip fed non-stop, you're not getting your business back. And it's not being said outright, but it's the drip, drip, constant hum of the narrative is that you're not going to be free. unless you take a vaccine, and then you've got to take the second one, and now it's the booster. You're not considered fully vaccinated unless you've had a booster. And then it's going to be the fourth and the fifth, and each one that goes by, and the more people that have injuries, and there are tons of injuries, apparently. I don't know anyone. Well, I do know 2 people who've died. I don't really know anyone who's died from COVID. I don't think anyone knows that anyone that's actually died.
I know someone who's been ill, like quite ill with COVID, but
it could be a cold.
Personally know anyone who's actually died. Yeah.
I mean, like the whole thing. I don't even want to get into the whole thing about the COVID either. The psyop there, because it just adds more fuel to that fire, and we don't need to go there. What we need to be doing is coming together, and at the very least, really listening to each other. And actually, everybody needs to go out and do some serious investigation for themselves, because even the stuff that I know, and I know people who've lost people, like, do we really know what's going on? Really? Like, what actually is going on? I mean, I'm good in my space because I don't come across anything, and I just do my own thing, and I talk to God all day lately, because we do have a big solar flare coming in 10 years, and the whole planet will be gone by then. So we might as well just like get to know God now. Crazy. Can we talk about the squid under the Pacific Ocean as well?
We'll get to that.
I'm joking.
We'll get to that. So yeah, I mean, a lot of people, you say that we don't even know. A lot of people don't even know what's going on, really. I mean, even you would consider yourself as enlightened, right? You would consider yourself as, because of what you know, you feel like you already know a little bit more than a lot of the most the masses. So where's a good place to start? Like, would you say stop listening? Let's just shut off media and just stop listening to the MSM and all that.
Yeah, and I think actually we should just put a list of all different resources, channels, websites, and names for people to go and look at. I mean, the first obvious one, if you want to really get to know what's actually happening, is to go to the World Doctors Alliance.
Okay.
I mean, that's just the number one.
It's a pledge, isn't it? It's a petition.
No, it's not. It's a group of people who are working, and they have a website, and they basically do. They talk about all of there's a huge.
And these are actual, world-renowned doctors.
Yeah, and not just doctors. There's, really, really respected, high up medical people who are saying, no, this is not okay.
I think previously, the most recent sort of symposium that they had was in Florida. Did you happen to watch any of that?
No, because I'm too busy checking out other stuff. I don't really look at any. I was watching all that stuff when we were in the first lockdown. I was following all of that.
Okay.
I don't really follow it because everybody else is doing it, and people are waking up. So I'm kind of going a little bit further. I'm stepping a bit ahead of the vaccine and the virus, and I'm looking at kind of like what's going to happen when all of the countries are in a position to recover and restabilize. And I do know, I have information, which I'm very grateful to have, about, all sorts of amazing things that are going to come into play. All the money that's been taken from people is coming back. But first we need the Fed, and the whole banking system has to end first, because that is a whole big, massive problem, was a problem.
A guise or an affront to what's really
because the world the planet's been run by the bank, the Vatican, and the royal family, all the royal families, right? So you have those 3 arms. You've got the law, the banking, and the religion, spiritual side, which is the Vatican, and they have been controlling everything that we do. This would probably be a good way to get into the kind of maritime law thing of what they did. But in 1776 in America, Saint Germain oversaw the the Constitution, the signing of
the Declaration of Independence. Yes,
and this isn't just a declaration of independence for a country. It's a declaration of the sovereignty of each individual human being, because as a human being, and not another entity, such as a shape-shifting alien that's maybe walking among us, I don't know, but as a human being born from source, created by God, we have, as you said, inalienable rights, which mean that we can have free will. in our lives. And if we're hearing that this injection is possibly dangerous and is having possible adverse reactions, and at best all it does is give you possible like less severe symptoms of this flu, cold, or whatever it is that everyone's getting.
Which is increasingly not the case.
Yeah. Well, we know. I'm just
apparent,
pretending.
Yeah, but yeah.
Then, yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know. It just it never made sense from day one when they announced it. I immediately just was like, okay, let's see what's going on here. And then, of course, that all the stuff was happening in America with Trump losing the election, and then him going, and then Biden coming in, and the whole thing also was very shady. And we know Biden is not the president.
And the fact that any talk to even question, why that was happening, the shadiness of it all, you will get censored. Like, you will absolutely get yourself. Oh my God! Yeah, I had friends, and you'd be removed from off social media.
Immediately, friends got removed off Facebook without even having said anything about the virus. It was like, oh my God, my Facebook account's gone. I've been banned several times.
Have you?
Yes, the badges of honor.
Are you still on social media?
Well, the thing is, I've never since this whole thing started, I got really busy researching. Right. Because I'm a learner. I love to know things. I'm nosy. So I wanted to know what was going on. Exactly. So I just was like, I had time. I'm very grateful for that. It's not that I'm better or more knowledgeable. It just so happened that I had time, and I had a really passionate inclination to find out what the heck was going on. And I just met up with tons of people around the world, and we've kind of formed this massive network. It's huge, and it's real. It's massive. And there's, big people that come in and talk to us in our groups and stuff. And one of the big things that's come out, this isn't about individual countries, it's humanity as a whole. There is no difference just because your skin is one color, or your eyes are a certain shape, or you live in a certain country. If you remove all of that, we're all the same. We're all one, and we're all in this together. And they're busy dividing. I mean, they divided us into countries a long time ago to start, and then they kept dividing the countries and causing division between small, especially in like Europe and places, and they just want to have everybody separate and divided.
And yet they can't see that there are hands behind, and that there are actually people controlling this to keep yourselves divided from each other, to keep yourselves having, things that you hate about each other. But just from like looking at just recent events, like I've been following the Rittenhouse case, and then everything that sort of led up to that. And I don't want to really go into the whole BLM thing, but there's always this issue. It seems like they just pick it out of somewhere, and it's right there, that's their disposal. But again, the people who are not seeing through it, it's so frustrating for me, because I feel like they keep getting themselves fooled. I mean, fool me once, right? So why is it that this they are being grabbed, this power that these people have over the masses? It is so huge. It is just so powerful.
No, it is massive. It is really powerful, and that's why I don't blame. Like, somebody called me up to ask me some questions for some article, and he said, "Oh, what do you want to say to the haters?" And I was like, I feel for you. I'd probably be feeling the same if I was in your position, because they created this fake thing, and they made it about race, and they inflamed it on purpose because they wanted to shut me up. And they were thinking that they thought I was reading all of those things. Well, just quick note.
No, you weren't. Yeah.
I didn't look at a single thing that anyone said, because I didn't want to let
everyone know that I got like a telling off from you, because I was one of those. I texted you and I said, "Oh, have you seen this? This has been going around," and you kindly said, just don't send me any of these things, because obviously you are a person who operates on a higher kind of frequency, on a higher vibe. And all these things just kind of get, it pulls you down with which absolutely. Is not worth it.
Yeah. It would really upset me, and I would take it personally, and I would think I was a terrible person because I wanted to breathe oxygen, and that because I'm white. But I'm not. I'm Malaysian inside. You should see. I got a chili padi tattoo.
No, yeah, but you do have quite a palate for like really spicy stuff. I've seen you, like, you were just having the pancake just now.
Yeah.
So yeah, but the whole the play on racism thing, like to me, it is absolutely hypocritical. Like they'll use, especially with your recent case, they absolutely didn't see through their hypocrisy to be using the race card and to be literally going over calling you these names and literally being racist, like throwing over all these racial slurs. Because they think, and this kind of goes in tandem with the whole kind of rubbish leftist mentality, thinking white people can't be, non-white people can't be racist, only white people can be racist. I think that's the sort of, but they don't see through that at all. And that's what really got me.
Yeah, I think that, I know, obviously, right now what's happening is it's dark to light, so everything that's dark is being revealed. And I just think that the people who felt the need to write negative, although can I just also say I have absolute proof that 90% of those negative comments were bots. It's been proven. And that's what they do. The government will get, or not the government, but any group of people will get a bunch of bots to start off a narrative, because then other people, again, hive mind, then the people go, oh yeah, somebody else has told me that that's a bad thing to do. If you actually showed that video to somebody just randomly, people would just be like, oh, okay, whatever, some crazy woman. Oh yeah, and another thing, by the way, I was actually there to teach these shops a lesson, because they have faulty products and you can never get a refund, because they're always like, no, you can't. And I'm like, well, you know what, actually you can't have money, and I wanted to give that money to people to eat or something. I'm like, why should you have the bag and the money? So that was the whole thing. I was annoyed of, and the whole incident was not as it was
and that
portrayed.
just went over their heads. Like they didn't even think to stop or stop to think about why you were there. Like there was no context to it at all. Like they just went with the whole framing of you as this bad Mat Salleh, because Mat Salleh are the colonialists.
Which I get. I get that. And actually, no, that's actually true. It is true. Okay. And just so you know, and anyone that wants to, please go and do some research, because I'd love to know this. I mean, I know it's true because I've been told by a very, very trusted source. Merdeka Day never happened. It was, Malaysia was never given back to and it has been owned by the British from the beginning up until recently, probably about a few weeks ago or a couple of years ago. I'm not sure exactly the date that the royal family and the whatever you want to call them were no longer, well, I mean, the Queen's already dead, but they haven't announced it yet.
She's in a second phase, or whatever that's like. She's in a different phase now. It's on Twitter, and it was reported by some, like, it was a pretty reliable mainstream media. 3 months ago in Australia, I'll have to find the article, they announced her death. Queen dies at whatever, and then it was removed. I can confirm now that on Twitter, just earlier today, they're saying, I think maybe it was a tabloid, but it's still MSM, saying that she's entered a new phase and you won't be seeing her until February. Yes. Whatever that means. Just means but they don't want to announce her death. They're just trying to put it off, because the minute they announce her death, everything about anything Royal Britannia or Rule Britannia is dead, as it should be, because it's a fake nonsense, a lie of an evil empire that went around and took over innocent people's countries and said to them, oh, you'll be happy if you do this, this and this, and all they did was just destroy countries. And so I'm happy to receive the vitriol and the hatred and the angst and the frustration of all the people that have had stuff done to them. It's not me, though. I get where it's coming from, but it's not me. And anyone that's born now and wandering around, like a bit like Japanese people were starting to feel very guilty about a lot of things, but like individual people are not born doing things. It's a belief system matrix lie. And also something really weird happened to us 120 years ago where we lost a bunch of people. And so there's not been, we're a very immature race. Like where we are right now, human beings are lost. This is why everybody's so terrified and everybody's just like, well, what do we do? Because we are completely lost and we don't know who we are. We've been in a war since the First World War. This has not been a war and then a break and then everything was fine and then there just happened to be another world war, like how many years later? 30 years later? That's crazy.
It destroys the parents, the men that go off to war, the sons that go off to war, the uncles. These people, our ancestors, our great grandparents and grandparents have been completely destroyed. The collective of humanity has been destroyed we are in the third stage of the war that was started in the First World War. It's just they've given us this fake idea that we've got, and then we're like, okay, let's just maintain peace. And then there's the whole climate change stuff, which is nonsense as well. Yeah. And they, the whole thing is that they are telling us that we're on this planet spinning into the middle of nowhere, all on our own, and that, nobody's going to rescue us. We're born in original sin. God is somewhere off, we don't even know where, and we can only connect with him through Jesus, because Jesus died on his cross. And again, original sin, we should be feeling very ashamed of ourselves for even being born in the first place. And then we have created all these problems with the planet, because Earth doesn't have its own weather system that's pretty big. And we have all these limitations, separations, terrible things happening to us. Then we've got to pay taxes and work and the cities, and we've just been absolutely bombarded, and people are literally just staggering around trying to survive before COVID came along. So yeah, I get it. People are terrified. People believe what's being told to them, because the reality, everybody subconsciously knows the truth. They just know, but they know it's so huge and so terrifying that they don't want to face it. They'd rather face the thing they think they know, not realizing, no, the thing that you think you know is the snake. Which is one of the people that used to be here. Heads of snakes have been cut off, I believe. So, yeah, I just think that people are lost, afraid, and when you're lost and afraid and you're in a corner, you lash out. It's classic, and also everybody's traumatized.
Being afraid and lost is one thing, and I gather, at least from our conversations before this recording, you say that you've talked to people and they all kind of, to a certain extent, they kind of agree, that there's something wrong. How many would you say, or what percentage of people have you talked to that kind of in person and privately they'll say, there is something that's messed up, there is something, going on, and are not actually publicly saying it. Like they'll tell you in private that there's absolutely, something going on, but they'll just keep their mouth shut.
A lot of people. I mean, everyone that I know.
Higher ups?
Higher ups where? Anywhere.
A position of power, wealth, maybe.
Here, around the planet.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
well,
yeah. I do have like a very trusted contact who, and there's a lot of people. I don't know how to explain how I get the information, but
I don't know if
I think, and a lot of it is like common sense. You just get to a point where you just know. Once you open your eyes to certain things, you get yourself into the headset, and you realize the mindset rather. You kind of realize certain things that are going on, and once you kind of take a deep breath and sit down and do some research, it just starts to present itself to you. As soon as you actually anyone goes and does research, I can guarantee the information will just come.
But they'll say that, you're not an expert, you're not the scientist. Why should your research was done through a meme while you were sitting on the loo, as you was, you're scrolling through your phone. I always get that.
Yeah.
So
fine.
I don't know. I feel
memes are quite good.
After that, I just feel like turned off really, and I'll just shut these people out. Like I'll just leave them be. Like if you want to stay ignorant, that's on you. And that's my coping mechanism. But I guess for you, I think it's, how would you like, or how is that how you've been dealing with those people?
I don't really have conversations, because what are we going to have a conversation about? I'm not going to try and convince anyone of anything at this point, because it's been 2 years, and it's obvious to me that you either buy that narrative and you like medicine and you like hospitals and you like to wear a mask and you actually kind of in a sort of weird way enjoy the whole thing. I think there are some people even, God, I'll probably get hate mail. I think there are people who enjoy hiding behind a mask. I also think it's kind of funny that 2 years ago, if I'd walked into a bank wearing a mask, I probably would have been arrested. But anyway.
The irony,
yeah. Now I'm not allowed to go in without, I'm like, well, how do you know it's me?
You can literally walk
how
in
do you
with
know it's me
your
getting
whole
the money?
face covered.
Yeah. And get money out of your account.
Exactly.
They won't even ask you to take your mask off.
That's just the crazies, you know, that's where we are right now with the state of humanity.
Yeah, and this is where the common sense has gone. So you're allowed to walk around and eat, because we are the country of eating, or Malaysia is the country, which is, I've got everything. I'm not against that whatsoever. I'm like, everyone just eat and walk around without your mask, because, so how can, and surely when you're eating, are you not, if there were germs or if there was any spike protein type things, I mean, I don't know.
That's a trust the science that I don't quite trust.
Well, which
the
the
people
Fauci
telling
science.
me to trust the science.
Has the Fauci arrest come out yet in the media?
Not that I haven't.
I know he's
really
arrested,
been
but
on
it's
top
just
of that.
whether he's actually.
I know that he's done some things to some dogs.
Oh, they've done a lot of things to a lot of people. But Bill Gates in India.
But the ever so caring other political side of it are saying, oh well, if you're more concerned about dogs than you are about saving people, then that you have to do a check on yourself, on your conscience.
Gaslighting.
Oh, come on.
It's
These
like
people are just yeah.
It's become like the abusive part of a relationship. It's like I see all the people are like the poor abused person in the relationship, and all the people who are kind of like slapping around all these mandates, which by the way, interesting word, isn't it? A mandate. A date,
do you know
with a man.
The origins of that word?
No, but it's definitely not a law. And it's basically a mandate is
That's
where it's a bit like a referendum type thing. It's supposed to be, well, we suggest you do this if you wish. However, if you don't wish to, that's equally fine. That's what a mandate is in the Black's law definition. That's what a mandate is. It is not enforceable, certainly not by these fines that are being given out by I don't even know who. But let's not go there.
Yeah, no.
Let's keep it all love and light.
We will. So yes, I mean, so far we're kind of 40 minutes in now, and I think I just want to know more about the kind of the Kerry, the friendly, like the persona of the Kerry that I've known in this short while already, but also like the Kerry, like maybe your friends and your loved ones know. Like how would you kind of describe yourself among people who know you well, maybe among your family? You say you have children, right? So how would you, like, as a mother, how would you think that your children kind of see you?
I'm really close to my younger daughter. She's 17 and we have a really awesome time. I'm a bit crazy, I guess. They think I'm completely mad, but I guess I always have been, just because, I don't know, I don't like to just follow other people and what they do and say. I don't know. Lately, I don't know what to say about myself, because all I do is research and go on chats and talk to people overseas. And if I see things in the news, I'll message people and say, can you just double check? Is this happening in Paris? Is this happening in Australia? Is this like, for example, I'm going back, you just said talk about me. When the Queen's seal was removed from Buckingham Palace in the first lockdown, my friend was in London and she was in the city, and I messaged her and she's like, okay, I'm going now to check. So it's just stuff like that. You've got to keep doing research. And then other than that, I don't know, I do a lot of meditating kind of thing. But when I say meditating, I don't sit and go, I just sit and I just allow my thoughts to go around these subjects, and I get kind of information will come in.
You do that
Akashic record style.
You do that
all
frequently?
the time. I'm constantly half in that state. It's weird. It's like a kind of an ascension thing, because that's another whole topic actually we should talk about.
Yeah, we should. Yeah,
ascension thing, which most people don't know about, and it's definitely happening, but that's also connected to the solar flare thing. So I don't know, what do I do? I don't know. I just talk to people. And
so do you like, how do you fill up your time? What are your like what interests you, other than just keeping yourself on a higher level? The truth.
Yeah. I don't go out anymore. That's why it's really funny that I keep being photographed every time I do, because it's literally all the photos are the only times I've been out. And I don't know, movies like The Matrix. Interstellar. I watch a lot of documentaries.
Told you, I have not.
Yeah.
I've never seen any of the Matrix movies, and
Nice.
you have
Must
just
watch.
converted me. I am going to definitely watch that probably immediately after this, after we wrap this up.
Everyone should watch it. And it's on Netflix now, so you can download, get it on Netflix and watch. There's 3. It's a trilogy, and there's a 4th one coming out very soon.
Right. Okay.
I think it's December.
It's still Keanu. Still
yeah,
Keanu. Okay.
yeah. So it's like going to be really cool because The Matrix is pretty old. It's a pretty old movie, but it's very well done.
I think the first one was back in the 90s, wasn't it?
Yeah,
or
I
early
think it would
2000s?
have been early 90s. Yeah. Oh.
I mean, the only thing I know about The
2002.
Matrix, if I'm honest, is that the cool kind of bending backwards shot, like the bullet.
Oh yeah.
I know because as I'm trained in media, so I learn a lot about how they did the camera shot around that. It was like a 360 kind of framing or something. Yeah, that's
when he was dodging the Mr. Smith's bullets. And,
yes.
This is what we're dealing with now, is the Mr. Smith effect, is the hive mind. There's one scene in the second one where he meets the Mr. Smith, who has since kind of like evolved, shall we say, to become multiple teeming Mr. Smiths that just keep coming at him. And it's like the people coming at you with there's 22 cases today. Cases or deaths.
Okay.
I mean, this is another. There should be a whole series of podcasts on language, because we really do need to relearn language, the English language, because it is a spell.
We are spellbound.
That's why it's called spelling.
Yeah.
It's a spell, and each, all words in the English language and the way that the grammar is put together is designed to trap our minds. Absolutely. I am not crazy. I am not a conspiracy theorist. I did English and philosophy at university. I taught English language A-level. I know what I'm talking about with language. It's very serious. And that's why in Malay there's a lot of English funny little things that are thrown in, because the Malay language also has been created to be a spell.
And
binding.
They've changed the definitions a lot, quite a bit, haven't they? Like with anti-vaxxers, they've changed the legal, like actual dictionary definition has changed. I'm sure conspiracy theorists now has the operational definition, the operative definition. I'm sure has changed now, because everyone who seems to have a different opinion is a conspiracy theorist.
Yeah,
you just can't question anything. You're not even trying to counter an argument. You're just trying to ask a question, a rational
normal
question,
questions,
and you are labelled a conspiracy theorist.
Well, that's why they created. Well, they created that term for this time now, and also to discredit anyone that talked about off-planet life. Do
you want to go a little bit into that before we wrap
just
it up?
in a nutshell. In a nutshell, we are not alone in this universe. Absolutely no way. Absolutely not. And unfortunately for us humans, we have been at the mercy of a whole bunch of crooks of the galaxies, shall we say, who have been usurping us for various things. And that's what this is all actually about. And we are going to everyone's going to find out soon, because it can't be held off any longer. I've got friends all over the world sending me Merkabahs, starships, spaceships, lights. I've seen some here in the past year and a half.
So the day of reckoning is
definitely. I'm definitely thinking, reading Revelations in the Bible is suddenly become really interesting, because it's like a reality TV show of what's happening now. They've been trying to, this stuff happening in that La Palma island. What's it called? Las Palmas? What's the island with the volcano?
I'm not sure.
There's an island in Spain, the Canary Islands or somewhere.
Okay.
They've been trying. There's been this, volcano's been going for ages. Now this is a man-made island, and they've been trying to slice it to cause a tsunami, to take out the New York and the whole east coast of America. That was the plan. It's in Revelations, and these beasts that come out of the sea. Now, it sounds ridiculous and crazy, but we know that there are beasts. We know that there are beasts. We've seen all sorts of things, and we know that there's all sorts of things we don't know.
Would this have anything to do with the giant squid
waiting
to come out?
The big squid. Yeah. I just found out about the squid today, though, so let me find out a bit more about this creature. It's huge, and apparently it's in control of everything, like the Greys, the Dracs, the Anunnakis, and all of their little minions. There's a whole chain of them that have been here, and they shapeshift, and there's all... underground areas that people have been, were living. Well, they weren't really living; they were kept there. And actually, there were people living, but I won't talk too much about that.
Oh, you've been
that's a
getting
whole
me interested in just like getting to know you more. Like you've been getting me more interested to be more open to these things. I mean, I would admit that I wasn't so much like I didn't even know much about these things, and I wasn't really reading anything about it. But now I feel like I'm more interested. I'm more appealed.
Yeah.
It's just more appealing to me.
Well, it's real, and everything that we've been given. Like so, basically, all the movies and all of the things that they told us were make believe or science fiction is actually fiction, and everything, is real. All the things that they said were not real. Are real. So that movies and anything that's supposed to be fictional is actually real, and then science is the real fiction.
I mean, if anything, I think the movies have been predictive programming, haven't they?
Yes.
Yeah.
Absolutely, every single one of them, except maybe things like The Matrix, but they seem to have. Sometimes messages can always just work their way through. You can see things in different ways. But definitely we're at this crossroads, we're at this precipice, and the only way to get through it is together. Yep. No one ever really did much on their own. You need a group, you need to be together, we need to be united, we need to love each other, support each other, understand each other, be tolerant of each other, especially now. Because 2 years we've all been going through this psychological abuse, all of us. Yeah. All of us have been locked in our houses. It doesn't matter if you're rich or poor. When you're locked in a room with somebody you really don't like, if that happened to you,
you'll go
it
mad.
Doesn't matter how much money you've got. You
Mental.
can't go. So we all got leveled and we all got equaled. And it's time for people to look around and start, just let go. Forget the nonsense because it doesn't make sense. Just go back to the basics of of humanity and kindness, forgiveness, compassion. Just reach out, smile at somebody, just ask someone, are you okay? Anything. That's all.
And I think that's just a great way to end this on, for you to be welcoming, of people, and to just preach, love, and to even, despite what you've been through personally, I think that's always something that just shines out from you. That's always something that stands out for you. Before I end this, and we wrap this up, would there be an opportunity for some of the listeners, maybe if they just wanted to start having a conversation about this, that they can reach out to you on social media?
Yeah, I think Telegram. I'll put the one of the Telegram. I mean, obviously, there's some crazy stuff on there. So only come and read stuff if you're ready to dive down the rabbit hole, as they say.
Come with an open mind.
But there's so much support. Like, people are afraid to look at stuff because they think that, they won't deal with it. But there's so many people who are here to support and ready to kind of say,
if only they can see it.
It's all, once your eyes are open, it's a bit scary. When you get over that, you realise that we can do anything together. We're amazing. Human beings are amazing.
We are, and that's how we've evolved over the last.
And we're still here, and you can't get rid of us.
No.
Can't crush the human spirit, whatever colour it is.
Solid. And as is, solid as the ending can ever get, really, for this episode. Thank you so much again, Kerry, for coming on and for your time. Yeah. That's it, folks.
Jumpa lagi.
Jumpa lagi. And also see you guys in the next one. Bye for now.